Britain is reeling from a shocking revelation that threatens to destabilise the lives of millions. Chancellor Rachel Reeves's controversial decision to hike employer national insurance contributions to a punishing 15% has sent shockwaves through every corner of society. At the heart of the crisis are unpaid carers, selfless individuals already stretched to the brink, who now face devastating losses of up to £5,000 annually from their pensions. But this isn't just about pensions. Jobs are under threat, businesses are sounding the alarm, and accusations of government betrayal are spreading like wildfire. How did we end up in such a catastrophic situation, and who will pay the price for this financial turmoil? The situation has gone from bad to worse, with the latest revelations sparking nationwide outrage. From unpaid carers at risk of losing everything to an unfolding scandal in the steel industry. Today's news is a whirlwind of chaos and betrayal. Stay with us as we break it all down, revealing the full scope of the crisis. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This story is just beginning to unravel. Rachel Reeves's announcement of a 1.2 percentage point increase in employer national insurance contributions during the autumn budget was billed as a necessary step to strengthen the economy. But for many Britons, it has instead become a ticking time bomb. This tax raid, aimed at boosting government revenues, is triggering a cascade of consequences that threaten jobs, pensions, and the very fabric of society. Unpaid carers are bearing the brunt of the fallout. These individuals, mostly women, juggle caregiving duties with part-time work to make ends meet, but now the increased cost burden on employers is expected to shrink the availability of flexible part-time jobs, a lifeline for many carers. Experts warn that this could force carers out of the workforce entirely, leaving them unable to build the 35 years of national insurance contributions needed to qualify for a full state pension. Lisa Picardo, Chief Business Officer at PensionBee, described the devastating impact of the tax hike. For every year a carer is unable to work due to lack of flexibility, they lose an estimated £5,000 from their pension pot. Even those who manage to retain part-time roles face losses of around £2,000 annually. These figures represent more than just financial setbacks. They signify a future of uncertainty and insecurity for carers who already give so much to society. Adding insult to injury, carers were set to receive a modest increase to carers' allowance in 2025. This was supposed to offer some relief to those who dedicate their lives to helping others. Now, however, any potential benefits of this increase are being overshadowed by the looming financial blow from reduced work opportunities and pension losses. For many carers, the government's actions feel like a betrayal. The backlash isn't limited to carers. Retail giants like Tesco, Sainsbury's and Asda are raising alarms about the broader implications of the tax hike. These major employers argue that the increased costs will lead to job cuts, store closures, and reduced investment in growth. For smaller businesses already grappling with inflation and rising operational costs, the situation is even more dire. Critics warn that Reeves's policy could stifle entrepreneurship, weaken the economy, and leave workers across the country facing an uncertain future. Meanwhile, another scandal is brewing in Britain's steel industry. The government's decision to import foreign-made, eco-friendly steel for defence projects has sparked outrage, particularly as steel plants in Port Talbot and Scunthorpe teeter on the brink of closure. Reform UK's deputy leader Richard Tice has accused the government of abandoning British workers in favour of environmental goals, branding the move as net zero wokery. The controversy revolves around the shift to electric arc furnaces, EAF, a technology that produces steel with lower carbon emissions. While this transition aligns with the government's decarbonisation strategy, critics argue that it comes at an unacceptable cost. Thousands of steelworkers are now facing unemployment, and communities built around traditional steel production are staring down economic devastation. Tice and other opponents of the policy have called on the Ministry of Defence to prioritise British steel for all major projects, including the Royal Navy's new Dreadnought-class submarines. They argue that relying on foreign imports not only undermines domestic industries, but also poses a risk to national security. The fear is that Britain's growing dependence on imported materials could leave the country vulnerable in times of crisis. Government officials have attempted to downplay the controversy, pointing to agreements like the Trinity House deal, which guarantees that certain military components will be made with British steel. But for workers in Port Talbot and Scunthorpe, these assurances feel hollow. The closure of blast furnaces and the reliance on imported materials are seen as a betrayal of Britain's industrial heritage and a blow to national pride. As the pension and steel crises dominate headlines, another scandal is unfolding in the healthcare sector. Weight loss jabs like Ozempic and Wegovy, once heralded as miracle treatments for obesity, are now linked to a shocking rise in hospitalizations. Over 270 cases were reported last month, a dramatic fourfold increase from previous figures. The Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, MHRA, has revealed that nearly 15,000 adverse reactions to these drugs have been reported, doubling the total from the previous month. Gastrointestinal issues, including severe nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, are among the most common complaints. But the real danger lies in the unregulated black market for weight loss jabs, which has flourished due to limited availability through the NHS. Patients desperate for quick results are turning to online sources, where counterfeit and off-label products are widely available. Doctors and MPs are sounding the alarm about the risks of these unregulated treatments. Layla Moran MP, chair of the Health and Social Care Committee, has called the situation alarming and urged stronger regulations to curb illegal sales. Despite the controversy, some experts maintain that these drugs are safe and effective when used under proper medical supervision. However, the surge in hospitalizations has exposed glaring gaps in oversight and access. Critics argue that the government's failure to provide timely NHS availability has created a dangerous vacuum, allowing the black market to thrive and putting lives at risk. The three scandals, pensions, steel, and weight loss jabs, paint a grim picture of a nation in crisis. Unpaid carers are being pushed further into financial insecurity, steel workers are watching their industry collapse, and patients are risking their health in pursuit of unregulated treatments. Across the board, the government's policies are being called into question, with many accusing leaders of prioritizing abstract goals over the real needs of the people they serve. Rachel Reeves's tax hike was intended to bolster the economy, but it has unleashed a cascade of unintended consequences. Businesses are warning of job losses, workers are bracing for financial ruin, and public confidence in the government's ability to manage these crises is rapidly eroding. The stakes couldn't be higher. Will the government take decisive action to protect carers, support domestic industries, and regulate dangerous healthcare practices? Or will these scandals continue to spiral out of control, leaving ordinary Britons to bear the brunt of the fallout? One thing is certain, these crises are far from over, and the nation is watching closely. The choices made in the coming months will shape the future of Britain for generations to come.